No. I want a warmer welcome than that. I think we're closer than that, right? Are we closer than that? Welcome to New York Comic Con, everybody. Much better. So glad to see you all. Welcome to Marvel, the next big thing. A virtual smorgasbord of awesomeness from our panelists up here. We got some stuff to talk about. We got some stuff to show you. We'll have time for you to ask questions at that microphone over there. But first and foremost, I want you all to have a good time, okay? So let's all take a deep breath. Oh, that's so much better. That's so nice. Well, thank you all for joining. Let's just dive in. My name is Nick Lowe. I'm an editor at Marvel. I'm so glad to be here. I work on the Spider-Man books, Doctor Strange, Runaways, Punisher, The Platoon, whole scattered bunch of stuff. Hopefully you like it. Thank you. Also up here, we have Associate Editor Mark Basso, looking slick. I believe this photo was from his wedding about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
Crazy. It takes not everyone can pull off a top hat, Basso. I'm impressed. We have writer Ed Brisson, the writer of Iron Fist and Old Man Logan, and a bunch of other stuff too. Oh, I like that. That's an author photo right there. We also have Mr. Jerry Duggan, writer of Despicable Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes.
Look at that handsome young man in the picture.
Love it. Artist extraordinaire Javier Garrón, the artist of Secret Warriors. One of my favorites, artist Erica Henderson of the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Brooklyn's own Matthew Rosenberg, writer of Punisher and Secret Warriors. Yes. We have who I feel lucky to call my friend, writer Rainbow Rowell, works on Runaways and a ton of books and awesome stuff. And we're supposed to have Charles Soule. He might be on his way. I'm not sure. He's not up here. No, I don't see him. So I will be playing Charles Soule today. Imagine me more lawyerly. But he writes Daredevil as well as Astonishing X-Men, all that good stuff. But yes. But enough out of me. Let's start talking about the comics, which is why we're all here, right? All right. Iron Fist. We are deep into Marvel Legacy. In Iron Fist, we have Sabretooth Round 2 is the story. Ed, why is Sabretooth in this book? Who are you trying to fool? He's an X-Men villain, right?
Yeah, but he debuted initially in Iron Fist. I believe it's Iron Fist issue 15?
I think you're right.
It's 15?
Correct.
14? Okay, thank you. It's 15.
Thanks, Jerry.
And if I'm wrong, it's okay. We make stuff
Yeah,
up.
that's right. So they, I don't think a lot of people realize that Iron Fist and Sabretooth have sort of a long-standing beef with one another. And in this case, we have Iron Fist has to go to Sabretooth for help, and they have to work together, and it's super awkward, not pleasant. Sabretooth does not forget. He holds grudges harder than anyone else, and so they've got to somehow get past that and work together. Essentially, the long-term goal is to kind of save Kunlun.
Yeah. And this book has it all. It's got bar fights, dragons, mystical books. What else do you want in a comic book? I don't know. Here, what's that? Sure, gun. I'm sure there are some guns in there, but usually they're karate chopping them out of people's hands. So, which is what we should all do when you see a gun. That's what I say. Here's some interior pages by Mike Perkins and Andy Troy up there. Incredible work. Here's another cover by Jeff Decal. I believe Jeff is here in Artist Alley. Amazing cover artist. You got to go track him down. I think he's probably got prints and sketches and all that kind of stuff. But incredible stuff. 75. Another Iron Fist book we've got that is just available digitally right now is The Immortal Iron Fists. Now, if you read, there's a book called The Immortal Iron Fist about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, that Kari Andrews wrote and drew. This is a follow-up to that. In that book, we meet another Iron Fist. It's this adolescent girl named Pei. And the art here is Afu-chan. That cover's by Kari Andrews. Here's some amazing Afu-chan art. This book is only available on the Marvel app and the Comixology app. It's an incredible book. Issue 6 is coming right up, I think, next Wednesday, and you could go get it right now. It's a tremendous book. You got to pick it up. And look at that art.
They say wizards are never late. Here's Charles Soule.
Yes. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
There's a lot of people here.
There's a lot of people. I mean, it's a Marvel crowd.
Yes,
You know?
yes, it's awesome.
Excellent. We also have going on, anyone watch the Netflix show Defenders? Right? Oh, man. Well, there's also a little known fact, it was a comic first. But this book, it stars Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Deadpool? What? He's not a Defender. But one of the beautiful things about comics, there's Deadpool right there. Fedora Deadpool.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
He's hiding.
Welcome.
that is classy Deadpool.
Yes. But one of the cool things about the comics that you can't get on TV is things like this, guest stars like Deadpool. You're probably not going to see him in a Netflix show, but in the comics, you got that here. Crazy stuff going on in Defenders. Here's some incredible David Marquez, Justin Ponzer artwork. Unbelievable work. They just rammed a car into that guy.
That is right.
I don't envy him. And here is another arc for their legacy arc, the Kingpins of New York. Really crazy stuff. Diamondback is there. It's just Black Cat is all over that book. Any Black Cat fans out there? Yep. Keep your eyes peeled on this book. Editor Tom Brevoort and I get in lots of arguments about her in it. It all makes better comics for you, though. I promise. But here, someone we can tell you, I don't need to talk about this book. We have Charles Soule here. Charles, what are you doing in Daredevil? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I gave the city away. I gave it away to Mayor Fisk, to Wilson Fisk.
Did everyone hear about that? That Wilson Fisk is going to be your next mayor of New York City?
Exciting. It's very.
It's terrifying.
It's wonderful stuff for New York City. Well, the idea of this came from the idea that Daredevil and Wilson Fisk both love New York City very, very much. They just have very, very different ideas about what it should be, how it should be handled, chaos, order, all that good stuff. And so when I came onto the Daredevil book way, way back years ago, I thought, you know what, I need to build to something huge. And what would be a bigger thing than Wilson Fisk having all the power of the mayor's office? Turns out, I did a bunch of research for this arc, and the mayor of New York City is by many considered to be the second most powerful elected position in the country, after, you can probably guess. So Fisk can basically do anything he wants. He's got the NYPD. He's got everything he needs to make Daredevil's life hell. And even though Daredevil lives in Hell's Kitchen, he doesn't want his life to be hell, even though it seems to happen to him all the darn time. And so basically the premise of this is that Kingpin is not just the Kingpin, he becomes the king. And that happens on page 1 of that issue there, Daredevil 595, which starts the legacy story and builds and builds and builds to Daredevil 600, which is a massive Daredevil story. It is my attempt to do something really unique and signature that has not been done with the characters before. And man, I hope you like it, because I'm kind of killing myself over it.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Art by Stefano Landini. This cover is by Dan Mora. The other one by legend Bill Sienkiewicz. Unreal. So good. So good. We also got a huge Marvel Legacy arc coming up in Punisher, where the Punisher takes the War Machine armor. Matt Rosenberg, please tell us what this is all about.
Basically the Punisher is doing his job. He's hanging out in New York, killing bad guys, and he decides he needs to, someone tells him that there's a good target, and he decides it's worth going after, but he needs to level up. Basically, he wants to go to Europe and overthrow government, and there was a military coup, and Frank's not very cool with it. And to level up, he decides that he is going to take the War Machine armor while no one is using it, because sadly Rhodey was killed. So it's just Punisher, who is the most dangerous character, I think, in the Marvel Universe, and usually carrying a pistol and a knife. We give him a nuclear weapon and send him off to war. And In a lot of ways, I think the book is, it's really taking what Frank is and accelerating it to a nightmarish pace. It starts off as a nightmare, and now it's everyone's worst fear of what Frank could be, and he has that possibility and that potential, and it's just about what that looks like for the world.
It's so cool. These are interior pages by, I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name, I apologize. Juju Villanova?
Sure.
Is it close enough?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Close enough for me.
Okay. Mark Basso, you're working on this book.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to what Matt was talking about?
Well, I just think that Gayu, you may not have seen his work before, but just from the brief glimpses up there, he's really bringing the action to like a whole other level. I mean, Matt's writing some really awesome stuff, as you can imagine. If you have Punisher and the War Machine armor, you better see some awesome stuff. So I can promise you that they are both bringing that to it. And I mean, I can't think of anyone better to draw it. It's really looking amazing.
Yeah, those are incredible interior pages, and these covers are by Clayton Crane, incredible digital painter. We're really glad to have him back at Marvel doing some work on this and some Venom stuff. Incredible. I'm saying that word too many times. I recognize it. Then there's books like this. We have a book called Punisher, the Platoon, which, thank you. This book written by Garth Ennis, drawn by Goran Parlov. We've actually been working on this book for about 3.5 years, almost 4 years, when Garth started writing it. And Goran, he got swept away to do a book over at Millar World, and he came back and he did such an incredible job. We also have Jordi Belair on colors, which I'll show you some of that right here. Unbelievable. These pages have never been seen before by anyone outside this room. These are our pages from issue 2. Goran and Jordi are doing incredible work. So the story here is a story we've never really seen before in comics or anywhere, where this is Frank Castle's first tour of Vietnam. It's his first command. He's a lieutenant, and we meet the men of his platoon, and we meet their adversaries. You'll recognize one of the characters if you've read a bunch of the Max books before, but there's this new character, this Vietnamese warrior assassin, a young woman named Lai, who is such a cool new character, and she causes some major problems for Frank and his platoon. But this book is chilling. It is a companion kind of to, one of my favorite story arcs of all time was a Punisher Max story arc called Valley Forge. If you haven't read, you have to go seek it out. It will make you weep. It'll make you, question choices you've made in life. It's just one of those books. And this book is very much a companion to that. So I hope you pick it up. Let's get back to the super fun stuff, okay? Secret Warriors. We not only have a writer, Matthew Rosenberg, here, but we have artist Javier Garrón. Secret Warriors. Javier, we've heard from Matt. I don't want to hear more from Matt yet. Tell us about your approach to this book, what you like about it, and why you wanted to draw it.
Well, I mean, the Inhumans group of characters after Inhumans versus X-Men, they are in a unique position inside the Marvel Universe. It's so dramatic because it's a terminal position. They're facing extinction as a species. And in this kind of extreme situation, we have a bunch of individuals that gather to face in first term all the events that are happening through Sacred Empire, and they come even if they are unlikely together, because a team that reunites a spy, a master of the martial arts, but also that is his own plans, his own secret plans. We have also the most intelligent person in the Marvel Universe, which is also an 8-year-old with a very bad temper and a giant dinosaur. And, we have people who doesn't seem that fit together. When they first told me about the book, it was like, awesome, we are getting all these cool characters, but how they're going to work as a team. The thing is, they work together as a team because they face something that is greater than anything that they have faced as individuals, and they need to be together. And they find a way to trust each other, but things are not as simple as they seem, and throughout the book, the team starts to fall apart, but at the same time, they try to find a way to keep standing together because the threats are still so big, so big, and in the middle of all that explosive mix of elements, we still find so much humor, so much warmth in each of every single character. My English start to gear up. Spoken English. So, and it's a book that has, this is a little bit topical to say, but has a little bit of everything. It has drama, it has humor, it has incredible action, it has amazing dialogues, and it finds the place. It doesn't feel like forced. It comes out natural, and it all comes from Inhumans versus X-Men throughout the first arc of the series, the Secret Empire arc, and everything is continued to evolving through the second arc. Everything that happens in the second arc, it's a direct consequence of everything that happened in all those things. That doesn't mean that you can start the book on the second arc by any means. But, I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah.
You know that?
Absolutely. Matt, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would just say, the book is Quake, Miss Marvel, Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, Karnak, and Inferno. And in our Legacy arc, like Javier said, it's about the Inhumans in some way facing extinction. It's about the young characters who don't necessarily feel like Inhumans and don't identify that way. And they're looking for, a cure for this in a certain way, a cure for their own death of their people. And as you can see here, someone who is very interested in extinction and genetics and species, Mr. Sinister from the X-Men, he is going to appear, and what his role is and his involvement in the team is a little curious. So we added someone to the roster who's a little more used to going up against Mr. Sinister, and that is Magic from the New Mutants and the X-Men. She will be joining the team to be another semi-functional element.
That's awesome. So cool. These covers are by our panelist, Javier Garrón. They are beautiful. Excellent.
Thanks.
Let's move on to the next book. Another book that we've been working on for a very long time. So excited that it's finally out there in the world. Runaways. Any Runaways fans out there? Yes. Has anyone not read Runaways #1? Anyone? Any hands? You can raise a hand. Has anyone read it? You haven't read? You haven't read there? You want to come up and read it? No? You want to come up and read it? Come on up. There you go.
It's so good.
Rainbow.
Yes.
Rainbow Rowell, will you please tell us about this book?
I'm very excited about this book, Nick. The Runaways was my favorite Marvel comic, and I read it when Brian K. Vaughan and Adrian Alfona introduced it, which feels like 20 years ago, but I think it was 14. And it was a book that it quickly became the book I looked forward to every month. I felt that it was unlike anything I'd really ever read at the time. That the characters were so beautiful and so beautifully built, so that they each had such a unique and, like, as I write novels, it's difficult to write a character that just feels like it goes 600 miles solid. And that's how the Runaways always felt to me, each of them. So when they ended their time in the Marvel Universe, it always seemed to me like they were the sort of characters that had a lot more stories in them. So when Nick and I started talking a few years ago, I was desperate to bring the Runaways back. So in this first arc, what we're doing, well, if you read the original book by Adrian and Brian K., I think probably people call him Brian K., which if you haven't, you should. You just should. It's really great. But it's about these kids who are thrust together when they realize that their parents are supervillains, and they kind of betray their parents and go on the run. And so they became this family, but they never chose each other. And what we're doing in this arc is we're giving those kids a chance to choose whether they want to be runaways. It's a getting the band back together story. It's basically the plot of the Muppet movie, or the Country Bear movie. I mean, whichever you prefer. I like both. And anyway, I like a getting the band back together story, so that's what it is. So all of the characters that you remember, the original team, which was difficult because many of them were dead, and those that weren't dead had been kidnapped and were in Murder World, and the others were just missing. So we kind of get them back together, and it's a lot. Chris Anka, the artist, and I both have a deep, deep love for these characters. So we really got together and talked about, who we saw, what was the soul of each character. And his artwork, I think, is stunning. They're characters who don't wear costumes normally. And so Chris is just genius at giving his character designs tell so much and are so full of storytelling. So this is 3?
Yeah, this is from 3. This is again, no one else in the world has seen these pages but you people sitting here.
And those are colors by Matt Wilson.
Yep, Matt Wilson, Chris Anka art. It's incredible.
We were so excited to see what Carolina's her rainbow effect would look like. And so when I saw this page, I was like, oh, that looks so great. So yeah, we're very excited. All of us are like a little too excited.
Yeah,
like we geek out when we're supposed to be working.
And if you haven't read the original series, you can get a free copy of Runaways #1 at participating stores this month for the Halloween Comic Fest.
Oh, wow.
Free comics, everybody. Free comics.
That's a great comic. Read it.
The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Yes. Yes. We're very lucky. Like we said, Erica Henderson is here.
Hello.
Erica, tell us about this amazing book and why. I mean, it seems like everyone in this room is reading it, but just in case there's anyone who isn't,
Okay,
can you please
just
tell them
clarify.
about it?
This book or the Legacy run?
Both.
Okay. Well, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. That's a lot. Okay, we'll have the Legacy run first. It's easier. We're going to space because basically several months ago, editors were like, "What are you going to do for Legacy?" And we're like, space. Well, we're going to deal with some scammers because now Galactus is the bringer of life. Unless you guys changed that and didn't tell me.
No, he's still
All right,
slinging
all right.
life. Yeah.
And so we have these scammers who are going from planet to planet, painted silver, and saying, Galactus is going to show up unless you give us all your money, all your planet's money. So, smaller stakes than I think everything else that's been going on, but we think it's fun. Just getting to play with, some Galactus stuff and Surfer. We didn't get to do Surfer the first time we did Galactus, and, that's a mistake.
It's so great.
But
This book.
is the end of the Dinosaur Ultron run,
Yes.
which was fun.
It's such a great book. It's so much of its own feel. Here's another amazing Erica cover right there. And then here is the space cover that she was talking about, celebrating that.
And the previous one I'm really excited about because this is our zine issue, which is all going to be short stories by characters in the Marvel Universe, done by various artists.
Oh, that's really
and
cool.
I don't know which one's been announced, but there's one that we're super excited about. That one's not been announced.
Okay.
But Tom Fowler is in there. Mike
You're not excited
Cho
about
is in
him.
there. I mean, I love Tom. I love Tom. But he's already done some Squirrel Girl, so whatever. Carla Speed McNeil's in there.
Ooh.
And then one super secret guest that I'm so jazzed about.
Oh, man. We can't get it out of you, huh?
No,
Okay.
no.
I tried.
Do
I
it.
tried.
Blurt it out.
I can't.
I think we'll get in trouble.
I'll just get an instant email from Will saying what did you do?
What'd you think? He said, say it. Do we have a microphone you can say that into? Yeah, here.
That was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh. Anyone want to read Punisher the Platoon #1?
I do.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Jerry. Take a seat. All right. Anyway, but Squirrel Girl, she eats nuts, she kicks butts, she's the best. If you haven't read it, it's one of the most incredible, unique books out on stands. Even, they pack so much into every issue. There's even writing in the margins. They just.
There's no stopping Ryan.
Yeah, there's no stopping it. There's no stopping. Awesome. All right. Next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. Have people heard of these? Yes. Right? Right? And we live in a very special time. Jerry, tell us what you guys are doing for Marvel Legacy.
Well, in Legacy, we started a lot of fires before this, and now some of these fires are burning out of control. Gamora is on a quest for the Soul Stone. She feels part of her is trapped in there. There are other people questing for stones now, and things are getting very dangerous. In Legacy, the Nova Corps has been sabotaged from within, and a former SHIELD agent from Earth that is now embedded in the Nova Corps is asking for help. So the Guardians join the Nova Corps, and in doing so, somewhere in there we'll get a clue to one of the Infinity Stones, and I cannot wait for you guys to see when and how and everything. Where it is pretty special, I think.
So great. And they have a new teammate, right?
They do have a new teammate. He's right there on the cover, awfully small. After his life burned down in Secret Empire, in the Marvel Universe, when you want to get away, sometimes leaving your city is not enough. Scott Lang, Ant-Man, has to get off the planet. So he hitches a ride with the Guardians, and then will make some discoveries that will maybe keep him with the Guardians for a little while.
Indeed. And if you've seen the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and if you've seen the Ant-Man movie, one thing you're probably not going to see, at least until another year in the movies, is these characters together. Well, that's what this comic is also for. So go pick up this comic. Here's some interior Marcus Toe art. It is lovely.
That's the new Nova headquarters. They are mining an asteroid and selling off. They're hollowing it out and selling off the pieces to pay for being the Nova Corps. And those are some raptors there. Those are the fraternity of raptors are back. They're a little bit different than they were before. Scott is on the team, but Scott will find a very personal reason for staying through some of these missions.
Awesome. And here's another great Aaron Cooter cover.
Hey, that's Nova.
What?
Yeah, Nova and Peter Quill. Nova.
What is Peter driving?
He's got a new Nova Hog. That's what that is. He's swiped it to go on a mission with his friend. This is a fun issue. Peter didn't know that Rich had survived his experience in the Cancerverse. So a little mission, and then this particular issue, overall story that we're telling, this big stone epic. So please don't miss it.
It's awesome. And in fact, you're also racing towards a giant issue 150.
Yeah, and who's that? That's Adam Warlock. He's back.
Yeah.
He's
been gone for years.
He's been gone for years, and welcome back, Adam. Well, you know what? There's more than one return in that issue, but the Adam Warlock return is, I think, fun. I think it's a thing that we haven't seen before, and it introduces a new wrinkle to the Stone Quest.
Well, and you're not off the hot seat yet, Jerry.
God.
Because we're also going to talk about Deadpool. Any Deadpool readers out there? We know that guy is. Yes. I love Jerry and his team and Scott Colbush and Mike Hawthorne and all these amazing artists. Their run on Deadpool is one of my favorite books to read. I mean, luckily, I get to do it as a job. That's part of my job. But I look forward to it. And right here, he's killing Cable?
He is killing... He's killing Cable. No, he's sincerely killing Cable. That is, what is Deadpool's legacy more than that, right? We met Deadpool. He was trying to kill Cable. Unfortunately for Wade Wilson, he was following Cap before he ever heard the words "Hail Hydra," and poor Wade got all of the blame rightly for the bad things he did in Secret Empire, and none of the credit for the little things that affected the outcome. And as a result, he's really a heel. You would not trust him, and in this particular moment, that's when Strife comes calling, and he owes Strife four names. So these are names that Strife will say, and then Deadpool will kill them. That is in return for Strife having saved 4 lives for Wade earlier this year. And we've done some really awful things to Wade, and this feels like some of the worst stuff we've done. It's a whole new basement of digging. Yeah, that's Scott and Nick
Scott.
Filardi, and I've always been lucky in collaborators, but these guys now, everyone is firing on really just. It's amazing to see these pages. I can't tell you how cool it is. Most people get bummed
So
out when
nuts.
they need to do emails. I run to my phone or computer to check it, and Lolly's working and Hawthorne's working, so it's an embarrassment of riches.
And as it is a legacy book, one thing we're like to do is to dip into sometimes seldom used things, but the Time Variance Authority. Any Walt Simonson fans know of that? That's
And that's, I think that's the first appearance of the TVA, like right there.
in your book.
In the book, but because we're dealing with time, Deadpool travels back to the Thor issue.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of, it's not fun for Deadpool. Hopefully it's fun for you guys.
So it's got time cops.
Yeah,
exactly.
Lots of time cops.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And here's the Mike Hawthorne cover for the next arc called Bucket List. Really, really cool.
Cool, yeah, I haven't seen that colored yet. That is
you go.
awesome.
So great, so great. We also have something new that I don't know if we've even said to the public. We got a new series starting up called Weapon H. Now, if you don't know, there's a recent crossover between Weapon X and Totally Awesome Hulk, where someone took Hulk's DNA and the DNA of Wolverine and Weapon X technology and combined them to turn someone into a Hulk with claws. It is the most 8-year-old idea that I can think of, and I love it. Incredible. More on that as we go. But enough of us
That is
jibber-jabbering
really cool.
at you. We want to hear from you. There's a microphone over there. When you get up there, stand close to it so we can hear you. We want to hear your beautiful voices. One thing I like to do on these panels is because we're all friends here, we're going to get the questioners' names, and then we're all going to say, Hi, Wade.
Hi, Wade.
Every once in a while, Marvel will take a character and they'll just blow them out, put them everywhere. So when are we going to get that for Squirrel Girl? When are we going to get Squirrelverse? When are we going to get Squirrel Girl Team Up? When are we going to get Old Man Squirrel Girl?
You need to
we
be
did
at the
do Old
retreats.
Squirrel Girl.
I like this guy. Old Man Squirrel Girl. I think that's good. Well, not only does she have the great ongoing book, Erica and Ryan did a graphic novel.
It's true.
Right?
It's true. So right now there are 2 Squirrel Girls, and there is an old, out-of-time Squirrel Girl from another timeline.
It's
so
true. So you basically already have, Old Woman Squirrel Girl.
We're setting it up.
Yeah.
You know.
So great. But you have not seen the full extent of Squirrel Girl's involvement in the Marvel Universe. There's big things coming. And she's, it should be public knowledge here. She's in a TV show coming up called New Warriors, rather. All the Warriors are getting confused in me. I've heard unbelievable things from our friends on the West Coast working on that. So look for Squirrel Girl there. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Christian.
Hi, Christian.
Hi, Christian.
Hi, my question is actually for Jerry Duggan.
Okay, hi.
Even though we spoke actually previously already today, but I do have a question for you.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too. You know what? Forget it. It's nice to see all of you. Come on, let's give a round of
And also for Nick Lowe. Come on, thank you. Yeah. What was your question?
So my question is actually regarding the title of your next arc that was just announced for Despicable Deadpool, in relation kind of Deadpool versus Deadpool kills Cable, because usually a bucket list is something people write right before they die, and then Deadpool is killing Cable, and considering what's happened to Deadpool at the end of Secret Empire, I mean, his life is just done. And you also did an issue about suicide in your Deadpool run, I believe, was issue 20?
It was hopefully it was an anti-suicide
I'm
issue.
anti-suicide. That's
Not
what
like
I
the
meant.
other issues of Deadpool that made you want to kill yourself.
No, none of them has made me want to kill myself, believe me. Okay. In fact, they made me want to live.
Good.
So I can read more of your
No, I'm glad. Yeah,
So,
thank you.
anyway, so is there a reason for that, for the interesting distinction between those 2 titles, for what you're going for in your Deadpool run? I mean, just...
No, not really. We just, Wade's tying up some loose ends post Secret Empire. But yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it beyond that.
Okay.
But I appreciate it. Thank you again for reading.
And I imagine when you're dealing with a character who's nearly impossible to kill, like anything involved to push that to its limit is a natural direction to go, right?
Totally.
Well, that's also what I was kind of getting at with my question, because the fact that you can't kill him. So.
Sure.
Could cover him in molten adamantium. Could do that.
That's true. Thanks, buddy. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Max.
Was it Max?
Max.
Hi, Max.
Hi, Max.
Hi. Question for Rainbow about Runaways. You very distinctly didn't address the nature of Nico's witch arm in the first issue. Is that going to continue to be unaddressed, or?
Well, I would say that it was, yes, I would say that Nico's arm was addressed in the first issue, and she says, none of your business, and takes it back. So, yes, I'm not going to tell you about it, but maybe Nick will tell you someday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, we were very careful with all these characters. It was very important to Rainbow to make sure that we didn't ignore anything that was going on with any of them.
Yeah, I'm far more interested in continuity than Nick would like.
And, probably more than I am.
Yeah,
for sure
and
more.
He would often be like, you could just relax. We can get to that later. We don't have to cover everything. Because as someone who's read all the other books, I just sort of have this idea that everyone else has read that original run 5 times. And it was hard for me to pull back and not address everything.
It's great. Hello. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Sander.
Hey.
Hi, Xander.
My question is, since both the Guardians and Squirrel Girl are going to be in space, will they team up possibly?
Good question.
That is a very good question.
And a very good idea. Yeah.
Let's chat. Let's sidebar after. I would sincerely love that.
I don't know. To talk to Ryan.
Awesome.
I don't
Hey,
do the
Xander,
lines.
you want a free comic? Come on up here, buddy.
Did you give him the Punisher?
Yeah, I made sure Punisher Max.
Kids have to learn about Vietnam sometime. All right.
It's like Rushmore. All right. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
This is actually probably more towards the editors, but any writers can answer as well. I've been a huge fan of Marvel for decades at this point, and when Legacy was announced, I was super excited to start introducing some of my friends who were too intimidated by continuity or whatever to jump in. But I mean, Legacy returns Legacy numbering, which is already difficult because they're like, oh, it's 200 issues, I don't know what to do. And then when he started reading the Legacy one-shot, he had difficulty. He had to ask me something every 5 pages because he didn't know what's going on. If this is an effort to come back to core characters for longtime readers, where does this put new readers?
Well, at Marvel, we take super seriously the fact that every comic is someone's first issue. That's why we mandate, in all our books there's a recap page. That's something we've been doing for over a decade now, because we don't want, especially in this day and age, when I was a young man and I was reading comics, there weren't recap pages, and there also weren't trade paperbacks. There was 3 that you could find, but now each comic lives in many different ways, and so have to recap in the middle of the comic are a little tedious when you're reading it in a collection now of the old stuff. So what we try to do is you have a recap at the top. With the legacy numbering and all that kind of stuff, we are trying to celebrate the past, the present, and where we're going. The numbering, it was something that we thought about doing before. It just sounded like a fun game for hardcore comic fans. But we're not abandoning things like the recap pages. We're certainly not abandoning the new characters, any of that stuff. There's room in the Marvel Universe for all. Make every comic book welcoming to people. Legacy was definitely aimed at that one shot at the long-term fans of trying to be like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff you can read. For newer fans, I might point them a little more, things like Squirrel Girl and Runaways, and or even just a single issue of a. Enjoyed the issue after you explained those things. I know I love that Legacy #1.
He definitely wants to see some of the stuff that's coming up after I've explained it. So
Yeah.
That's good.
But to me, that was part of my first comic was the second series of X-Men. I think it was number 14, and it was part 2 of a 2-part story, and it was like in between creative teams. I didn't understand a single thing in that comic, I don't think.
Yeah.
But everyone was so cool, and they looked so cool, and they had these crazy powers. And I was like, I got to know who these people are.
And I mean, there's so much stuff in that first issue that
all of that stuff.
And I'm kind of like,
really good
there are
stuff.
hints at that roadmap.
and with the internet at one's fingertips now, of like looking things up. Like I'm very old, and so I didn't have the internet when I was reading these X-Men comics to look, Wikipedia, Jean Grey, and Scott Summers, and these people. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of lost reading the most recent Legacy issue of Iron Fist, but it made me want to go back and read the previous
Awesome.
arc because I was just like, wait, who are all these people now?
Yeah.
So, yeah. it's dope.
Awesome. Thank you. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Cho. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, Cho.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Good to see you. So my question is, as creative people and the expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with TV shows and whatnot, Runaways getting one, and Humans, Daredevil, if you got onto a project after a TV show, has watching the TV show have influenced anything like about your character designs or the art style, and if you know that the show is going to be getting a TV show, like with Runaways or Squirrel Girl, do you ever write scenarios or draw things like this should be made for TV or cinema?
Rainbow, you want to talk about it with Runaways? And then I'll talk generally after that?
Yeah. So when Nick and I started finally really working on Runaways, that just happened to coincide when you got news of the Runaways TV show. And we didn't know anything about the plot or the characters while we were, I wrote the first six actors look like or anything. And I kept saying to Nick, like, am I going to write? And what he said was, we kind of just keep them separate, and to do what you need to do. And I was writing inside comics continuity, so my Runaways book picks up inside the Marvel Universe where these characters are now. I believe this show is an origin story, so it's going to go back and kind of retell and reestablish the origin story. So we were able to keep those universes separate. I was writing a new arc, and I'm hoping that people watch that show and then maybe pick up one of the books that we wrote. And so I wrote it so that you could come on board. And there's the resonance of the same characters, but I don't know if you've ever read fan fiction.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
okay.
a lot.
Something that fan fiction really taught me is the capacity for our brains to understand characters and the soul of a character, even in many, many, many different scenarios. I really don't think that people are going to get that messed up. Like, I understand there's a difference between Captain America in the movies and Captain America in the comics. So I think that if you fall in love with a character, often that love for the character can cross over into a new world and a new scenario. And so that's my hope, that if we get the soul of the character right and they get the soul of the character right, that the resonance will kind of work back and forth.
Yeah. In general, we always try to see ourselves as costumes look a little bit closer, or if like there's a certain makeup, or if there's a big character in there, we'll bring it back there. But we, other than the literal adaptation comics, which are kind of a whole different animal, we never try to adapt the movies. We're always, again, we try to tell what, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out. This would be like Guardians of the Galaxy 25. And the neat thing about it is that a lot of the things from comics 10 and 15 years ago now are happening in the movies, and they're happening in the TV shows. And that is really, especially when there are things that people doubted so much. I remember I was already, again, I'm very old. I was already working at Marvel when Ed Brubaker pitched The Winter Soldier, when he pitched Bucky coming back. And the internet was like, no, I don't think so about this. And even up on staff, half the people on the staff, when you first heard the idea, no, that was one of the sacred things. You don't bring Bucky back. Bucky's gone. But Ed's plan was so cool, and the story he wanted to tell was so cool. And then to see it on the big screen, embraced, and now, I think everyone looking back would think, well, of course everyone liked that story or wanted it. No, that's not how it goes. So we always try to be, again, 10 years ahead of trying to tell the cool stuff that they might try to put on screen what we're doing on the page.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. You want free Venom or Amazing Spider-Man? There you go. Sketch cover for you. Awesome. Hello, what's your name?
My name is Sebastian. Hello, how are you?
What is it? One more time?
Sebastian.
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 Hi.
Hi, Sebastian. Thank you, Jerry.
Basically, my question is, I want to know if in the new comic we like ally with the Avengers, because I think the Defenders have like a great potential to be like world superheroes, and like I know basically that, well, in Netflix TV shows, the Defenders are fighting a really big organization, but SHIELD is doing nothing when it's supposed to know that a hand is there. But yeah, so maybe I'm hoping in the comics the Defenders and the Avengers and SHIELD can work together. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, and you got to remember that some of the Defenders team have been Avengers before, and all that stuff. Well, again, one of the cool things about the Marvel Universe is you see these characters always come together. One, I don't know that they'd necessarily be on the same side if they came together. So that's I feel like assuming a fair amount. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like that happening. As you saw, Deadpool showing up in Defenders. You know, Punisher has already been in Defenders. All kinds of stuff like that. And you know, with the way that SHIELD works. First of all, ninjas are so ninja-y, SHIELD can't see them. I mean, like, SHIELD's very advanced, but they're ninjas, right? Or ninja. You don't put an S on, right? That's already plural?
The ninja.
I think so.
I'm the editor. I should know that. But if we end up doing that.
Okay, thanks.
You want a comic?
Yeah.
Come on up, Sebastian. So Venom or Runaways? Venom or Runaways? There we go. Enjoy it. Absolutely. All right, what's your name, sir?
Doug.
Doug. Hi, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Hi, Doug. My question is about, you know, you have all these new characters, and you talk about bringing characters together, but I want to know what's going on with Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, did you read Marvel Legacy?
Yeah.
There's a little taste in the back of there. Tiny little tast. I mean, they're out there in the multiverse, you know, cataloging and looking at...
How to bring them back.
Well,
they're very busy. But they're very busy, Doug.
Marvel
Jimmy Chung, so you get a little bit more taste there. But I don't know, Doug, do you have a family?
Yeah.
Do you have kids?
Yep.
I have some young kids. Life is so busy. I can understand why they don't have time to do a comic. You kidding me? Imagine trying to find like a soccer class in a different dimension. It's hard enough finding it here. All right, Doug, you wanna either a Venom or a Punisher comic?
Sure.
Step right up. Hello, what's your name, sir? Union Jack, right?
Yeah, I'm
nice.
John. You can call me Joseph Chapman if it makes you feel more comfortable. I'm excited with all the space action, all the titles there. Any chance you can shoehorn team up with Beta Ray Bill in any upcoming Cosmic comics there?
Beta Ray Bill.
Give it up for Beta Ray Bill. Come on.
What's that? Well, earlier this week we had a creative summit, and I can't lie, the name Beta Ray Bill did come up.
Awesome.
So keep your eyes peeled.
I've been pushing for it.
Yeah. Oh, and he was on the cover of that Squirrel Girl issue.
To be fair, we just threw everything space on that cover, and then we decided to tell the story. We picked some.
I don't know. You've made a promise.
Oh.
You've made a promise, Erica.
Boy.
I've never put anything on a cover that hasn't shown up in an issue.
All right.
That's a lie.
All right,
Hey, before I started writing a little Bill and Sam Alexander teamed up, and you will see Bill in the pages of Guardians.
Ooh.
Thank you.
That's a promise. That is a promise.
Not just on the cover and then not on the interior.
Also, if one of you could yell at Mike Perkins for not being here, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Wonderful, Union Jack. Thank you. Oh, who's this?
Hello, my name's Tori Beck.
Hi, Tori Beck.
Hi.
And I'd like to know, so the Guardians of the Galaxy new one, like it's in a futuristic kind of time?
The comic?
Yeah, so it's like after Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or before Guardians?
You know what? We are the comic is being published in the current Marvel Comics timeline. The story of the movie is its own separate entity, so you can enjoy both and not really need to worry about one or the other.
It's really cool. You want a comic?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Step right up.
All we got left is Punisher.
No,
it's
we
a
have
small
Venom.
Southeast Asian nation, and
Hope you. Ever heard about the Viet Cong? Any last questions? We still got a little bit of time. Oh, here we go. All right.
Hey, that Punisher issue I read. So that napalm body that you thankfully did not get to that kid.
Hey, no spoilers. That kid wants to see it for himself.
That's right.
Okay.
Was that supposed to be Frank's first kill, or is that coming up?
Nope. I would keep on reading.
Got it. Thank
Keep on reading. Excellent.
Sorry, Punisher fans.
Hello. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Amy.
Hi, Amy.
I was just wondering, I know that she's dead right now, but any chance of Black Widow coming back anytime soon?
She was.
Wow, that
she
was a
for,
spoiler.
that was was really perfect.
Luckily, we have Matthew Rosenberg here.
Yeah, she's dead. I didn't kill her. Sorry. She's dead. She's way dead. Captain America and Nick Spencer killed her, and there's a book coming up that starts in December called Tales of Suspense. We start issue 100. You should read the previous 99. If you didn't, that's fine. We'll have a recap page. And that is the story of people are dying, people that the Black Widow didn't like. They're dying in widow-esque ways. And two people separately are investigating, thinking maybe she's alive or maybe someone wants them to think she's alive. It's a little bit of they come together, it's a little bit of a buddy team-up book, a little bit of a spy story, a little bit of a lot of stuff. And those two characters are Hawkeye and Bucky. So Tales of Suspense 100 is Clint Barton and Bucky running around the Marvel Universe, not getting along and trying to figure out what happened to her.
Is that more of a story, though, about her or about them using her as a plot device to see them?
That's a good question. You don't have to, that's a good question that we like. It is both.
Wow.
She's dead, so...
Just yell Iron Man, and
Yeah, she's dead, but if you like Natasha, read it. That's all I'll say. It's a mystery, so I'm not going to be like,
You want a comic? Come on up.
Yeah, you want a comic.
This is my last one, though. I'm very sorry. I've given them all away.
Everyone just sits down.
Thank you. Thanks for asking the question. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Katie Ann.
Hi, Can.
Hi. I'm a children's young adult librarian.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for putting comics out there for us to read. So often a thing I try to work with parents is they get very concerned about things that happen in comics. Are they for adults? Are they for kids? And things that I end up pushing end up being like Squirrel Girl and the Runaways and stuff like that. What other comics do you recommend for young readers like that and for the parents for them to feel like these are great things their kids should be reading?
Moon
Great
Girl and
question.
Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur for sure. It's one of the
Yeah.
best books at Marvel. It's awesome.
Miss Marvel as well. I got an 11-year-old daughter, and she reads all those books, so definitely those.
Well, there's Hellcat, which is done now, but that should make it easier, actually.
Okay. There's a great series called Spidey that came out. It was a 12-issue run that's intended for people of all ages. That's great. Amazing Spider-Man we try to keep friendly for the whole family. There's, to be honest, like it's a really lucky time for this because there's a bunch of books that are aimed pretty square. Unstoppable Wasp is great, absolutely. And there's so we got some stuff that we haven't announced yet. Oh, there's Disney Publishing Worldwide Group I think that's their full name. I can never get it right. They always correct me. But they're great people. They put out a book, a Spider-Man and kind of book, like a Spider-Man and the superheroes. And we actually have a new comic of that coming up as well that's got a companion to that as well. So there's a ton of really, really good stuff.
Garth Ennis has a new run on Punisher coming up.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Sorry, I'm taller than this. I love all you guys, but this question's for Rainbow. Rainbow,
Yeah.
your books are amazing.
Thank you.
Especially Fangirl, which is a perfect time to talk about this. In
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I was wondering, how did it feel to go from these books, these characters that you could create, to going into the Runaways and also having to write strict issues with characters that, even though you get to live with the soul of them, they are still already etched in stone in a way.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do just any book, but because it was a book that I really loved, and I really loved the characters, they already kind of felt like they were a part of me, and it was difficult shifting, angsting about whether Chase and Gert are going to kiss to the person. And realizing, like, that's a really big shift of perspective, because all of a sudden you're like, don't hurt me. You go from, like, don't hurt me to, like, hurt him, hurt him, hurt him in a double-page spread, you know? But I think I also was drawn to those characters even before I was an author, because they are similar to the sort of characters I like to write. They're teenagers who talk a lot, who get more wrong than right. I mean, they make a lot of mistakes. Relationships are a big part of Runaways. And just dialogue is a huge part of Runaways. So Brian K. Vaughan wrote them very bantery to begin with. So I think that's why these characters resonated with me, and why I thought, like, I can't do exactly what he did, but I think I can. I've been reading comics for like 30 years now, you know, and I think I was very scared, but you realize, it's the same way with books, you know, the first time you sit down to write a book, you've spent your whole life internalizing that style, that format of storytelling, and if a good reader kind of has some good writing in them. So for me, having read comics for so long, I did already know the rhythm, you know, like I knew, I wasn't sure I could dance to it, but I knew that rhythm. Unfortunately, it's a collaborative process. So whereas I'm all alone writing a book, or at least I was at the beginning, you know, pass or fail, I'm not alone. So I have people I can bounce things off. I have Chris Anka, who I can work pretty directly with for the next, you know, for issues I write from now on. And I had Nick and Kathleen Wozniacki at Marvel, who were really collaborative. So it was very intimidating, but it was not as horrible as it could have been, or I felt, you know, I was worried. It's still storytelling, and your job is still to make a connection with the reader, to make them really love the characters, and to tell a story.
Yeah. Awesome. Also, how much are Gert and
Say that again?
Gonna kiss? How much are they gonna kiss?
How much? I didn't say they were gonna kiss. I'm telling you.
Yeah, pick up the book. Pick up the book.
Some people will kiss. There will be kissing.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. And you got to read her books, Eleanor and Park, Fangirl,
Thank
Carry
you,
On. They're
Nick.
all awesome.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, we have a lightning round. We're almost out of time. We got to go super quick. Question.
My question is, if you wanted the Defenders to team up with any superhero team, which one would it be?
What's that? If you're going to be any superhero?
Any superhero team.
We'll have to answer it after the panel. That's too difficult of a question for lightning round. Come up after. And you, sir, what's your question?
Well, you can try and make the answer simple. I was just wondering what Marvel's relationship is with 20th Century Fox concerning Fantastic Four and X-Men. So I keep hearing stuff
We
online.
work together. We work together on Legion, on Gifted. We work. Yeah, it's nice.
Like the comics themselves, I keep hearing.
They don't make comics.
Yeah,
but thank you for coming and asking the question. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it.